Hey, it's Alexa from Type A for Alexa, and I have finally had a chance to sit down and do my July setup. So I figured I would film the whole thing so maybe you can plan along with me, although this is going to be posted after July 1st, so maybe you'll plan August along with me. These are the themes that I have done so far this year. I love that little year in themes snapshot. And this is just a quick look at themes that I've done. If you caught my last setup video, we did this beach theme with those top tabs. I didn't really love it. So I'm going back to side tabs this time, and I'm going to use the Summer Lemons monthly layout sticker kit and then some other pieces that I enlarged for my specific needs, but I do sell this kit on my website or a version of it if you are interested in it. But yeah, I'm going back to the side tabs. So all I have done so far is just traced out where I'm going to have to cut and made sure that I left enough pages for how many weeks are in the month. And the first thing that I do in all of my setups that have these Dutch door dividers is cut down all of the pages and actually make the dividers so then I know what kind of room I'm working with for each weekly spread. So I like my last week to extend further out than the dividers. So I cut about 2 grid lengths off of each page that is going to have a divider on it. And then I leave the last page of the final week the full length of the page, if that makes sense. If that doesn't make sense, you'll see what I mean when they're done. So I've just made a little pencil hash mark on each page to cut off those 2 grid lengths from the side. And then I'll go and actually trim the page down to where the divider is going to stick out. You can see how quick I actually get this done because I am quite a pro at dividers now, and I have done this enough to where I know how wide I like my pages, how big I like my dividers, how they need to be spaced and all of that. But it actually is really simple once you get your measurements down, as long as you measure twice and cut once. So I really do suggest going in with a pencil, spacing out your dividers, double counting your grid spaces to make sure everything is even, and then just have a nice sharp X-Acto knife, or you can do it with scissors. I like the X-Acto knife on the cutting board method, but I've done it with scissors too, and those work just fine if that's what you're more comfortable with. So you can definitely recreate this type of divider in your own bullet journal very easily. Do not be afraid to just cut into your pages. So because of how many weeks are in the month of July, I needed 5 divider tabs. And I think that ended up being 10 grid spaces long each, or 11. I can't exactly remember at the moment. But I didn't make my pencil mark quite long enough. So I'm just kind of winging it at the moment. But I still cut more of the page width off so that then I have that divider tab sticking out, if that makes sense. You'll see what I mean. And I'm not cutting a shape for these dividers until I actually put the stickers on them that they're going to be. So while I finish up trimming these, I will give you a little rundown of what my plan is for this theme. So like I said in the intro, I'm doing a Summer Lemons theme. I'm just really obsessed with how bright and vibrant the yellow and the blues look together. And I think it's perfect for a summer theme. And my idea for the divider tabs was to take some of the lemon themed stickers and make those the tabs and then actually cut around the stickers so that the tab ends up being the shape of the sticker. So I'll show it in a second when I'm done trimming these pages, but a couple of the tabs are going to be lemons or like lemons on a branch, and then a couple of them are going to be lemonade. So one of them's like a glass of lemonade and one of them is a jug full of lemonade. And then I'm going to actually cut around those stickers. I did print and cut myself reverse images of the stickers so that it can be a double-sided tab and they'll match up perfectly, and then I can just trim around the sticker once I put it on the divider tab, and it should give it a really cool look. I'm actually really excited to see how it turns out, but that's why I just have these chunky rectangular tabs right now, because there's going to be stickers inside these tabs. So like I said, you'll see what I mean once I can actually lay the stickers down. But that is my thought process. I haven't tried this for divider tabs before, so I'm just kind of hoping it works, but I don't see why it shouldn't, as long as I cut carefully. But you don't even have to get that in depth with your own divider tabs. You could stick with these chunky kind of rectangular tabs and just round the corners, and there you go. You have a set of Dutch door divider tabs for your spread. And at this point, we're only 5 minutes into the video, so you can see that I added 5 divider tabs to my notebook in only 5 minutes. It really is that easy once you get comfortable with it. So I just need to erase some of my stencil lines so that they don't show through the stickers. And then I'm gonna grab my stickers wherever they are at this exact moment. But I'm actually very excited to go back to vertical tabs like this because I was just not feeling the horizontal tabs of last month, and it didn't really make me excited to pick up my bullet journal the whole month. So I am ready to go back to what I'm comfortable with. So I'm also just going to use my corner rounder punch thingy to round my corners because I prefer a rounded corner. But if you prefer sharp ones, feel free to leave yours sharp and pointy. I just like mine. I feel like it makes it look like it's actually part of the notebook since all of the other pages are already rounded. But like I said, to each their own. And I also saw this method of using it upside down from somebody else. I cannot remember who, which I don't know why that makes as much of a difference as it does, but now it works every time as opposed to when I was using it right side up and it would only cut the corner correctly half the time. So maybe try that if you have a corner rounder that's not working well. All right, so the tabs are now ready for stickering. So these are the stickers that I cut out. And like I said, I cut out the reverse image of each so that, or the mirror image, so that I can have a front and back tab that lines up perfectly. So hopefully this works out how I think it's going to in my head. Wish me luck. I think if this works out, it might be something that I do in all of my future setups just to bring the theme into the spread even more rather than just doing like washi tabs or color coordinated tabs. I think these images are a really cool way to have the divider tabs in the setup. And I did measure how large my tabs were going to be, and then I made sure to size these images to fit perfectly. So it did take a little bit of pre-planning. I pre-planned this for probably a half hour before I was ready to start, but I think that half hour of pre-planning is really going to be worth it in the end. Again, if my vision comes to life. So if you have a silhouette or a portrait and you're able to do things like this, I highly recommend it. I think it adds such a great touch to the spreads. You could also just print images on sticker paper and fussy cut them out with scissors or an X-Acto knife if you wanted this look and don't have a cutting machine. There are definitely ways to get this look without having all of the supplies that I have. But now I'm going to cut around each image and just hope that then when I go to lay the sticker on the back that it matches up perfectly and gives me the look that I'm going for. I've also realized in all of the cutting away of bullet journal pages that I've done with my own bullet journal and all the reading journals I've made that like I can only cut on a specific angle. So I will be flipping my notebook all over the place. But I also realized that if I just trim half of the divider, I can line up the image pretty perfectly. That way, when I need to flip the page over to cut from the other side, I still kind of have a guide. So I feel like that worked out well, and that gives me hope that all of these images are going to turn out the way I want them to. So the lemon was pretty easy. And as you can see, I have the perfect mirror image on the front and the back. It fits perfectly. It's like, it looks like a die cut tab, like it was intentional. Not that I just crafted this together. Does that make sense? Am I rambling at this point? I think I am. But it's really exciting to see something that I only pictured in my mind actually work out with stickers and paper. So I am so excited about this, and now I just have to do the same thing for all the rest of these tabs. So while I speed up me just cutting out all of these tabs because this isn't something that really needs to be explained, I'm just going to be doing the same thing over and over again. I want to talk to you about ideas for August. Wow, I cannot say the plural of August. August's theme. The theme for August. Because I have themes in mind for September, October, November, and December, because I can do very seasonal or holiday specific themes. But August to me doesn't feel like summer anymore because here in Florida, our kids go back to school like the first week of August. So I don't feel like doing another summer theme. It's not fall yet. I feel like fall themes start in September. So what theme can I do for August? I would love some suggestions. I actually got the suggestion for the Summer Lemons theme from a poll in my stories on my Instagram channel. I had kind of thought I was going to do this theme anyway. It was my plan when I designed the kit and saw how pretty it is printed. It's truly so stunning and vibrant. But then I was like, oh, do I want to do a lemon theme for July? And let me just get some input. And I put up a poll on my Instagram stories. And as soon as I saw one of my followers said the lemons, I'm like, that's a sign. I should just do the lemons. But I need a theme suggestion for August. And I think this theme is going to definitely give my May theme a run for its money as my favorite. If you haven't seen my May theme video, that one I called Coffee and Craft Paper, and it turned out absolutely stunning. So we need a theme that can rival the lemons and the coffee and craft paper. So let me know your ideas. But moving on, the tabs are done and cut out, and I'm giving myself all of the snaps because I think these look so cool. I love the fussy cut edge around the stickers. Yeah, I'm stoked. So now I can move on to actually laying out my monthly spread. And my vision for this was inspired a little bit from Pinterest. I did look up lemon themed spreads on Pinterest. So I know I was going to use my monthly boxes. This is the larger monthly layout sticker kit with individual boxes, but I wanted to do some larger clear lemon stickers in the background. So like underneath the boxes. And then I have this little yellow, it's like the only yellow washi tape I have, but I thought it would actually go really well with this theme because it gives me like picnic table vibes. So I'm going to lay a little bit of the washi down, and then I'm going to lay those larger lemon stickers all over the background pages. And then I'm going to lay the individual monthly box stickers over that. I saw, like I was saying, I saw an image on Pinterest of a lemon theme. It was definitely hand drawn, but it looked like they drew the lemons in between the boxes. And I really loved the look of that, but I'm not going to draw anything. So I figured I can get that same look if I use stickers and then just regular sticker paper calendar boxes instead of clear, which I normally gravitate towards. But I feel like I'm going to get the same look. So I just enlarged a bunch of the lemon images from this kit and printed them on clear sticker paper. So I think I'm going to get the same vibe. So I'm just laying down some decoration for the background before I lay down all of those larger lemon stickers so that I can kind of see where everything needs to be spaced and I'm not crowding too much in one area, if that makes sense. I'm kind of winging this monthly spread since this is the first time I've done any sort of like background image under the calendar boxes, but it should be fine. And well, I can't even say if it's not fine. I'm just going to glue the pages together because I actually don't think I'd have enough pages left in this notebook to finish out the year if I did that. So it's going to be fine. That I just know it is. So again, I have no rhyme or reason to where I'm going to lay these stickers down. I just kind of want each, I think I printed 2 of each design. I just want them kind of spaced semi-evenly. Like I don't want 2 of the same sticker right next to each other. And I'm trying to visualize how they will look with the boxes over them. So obviously I know a lot of these stickers are going to be covered up by the boxes, but I hope that enough of the images peek through so that you kind of like even can tell what they are. But I guess won't really know that until I lay the calendar boxes down. So this could be an epic fail, but I'm committed to it. So at this point, it is what it is. I usually always search Pinterest for any inspiration when I finally decide on a theme, because I know 9 times out of 10, somebody has probably already done a bullet journal theme in whatever I've come up with. It's very hard to have an original idea these days. So searching lemon bullet journal setups and spreads on Pinterest before I did this gave me so much inspiration, not only for the background of this monthly spread, but also for some of the weeklies that I'm going to do. Normally, I just kind of wing it with the weeklies and just do what feels right, but I actually screenshot quite a few pictures of weeklies that I'm either inspired by or that I kind of want to replicate. So I think that will make my weekly setup process much faster. But right now I am loving the way these lemons look, and I really hope that they look good peeking through the large calendar boxes. So I'm double checking the spacing that I've used on other monthly spreads. So you can see I've done 2 grid lengths from the centers where I start the bottom row of box, or where I start the boxes, and 2 from the bottom, or 3 from the bottom. I always get confused. It's like 3, it's 2 dots, but technically 3 spaces. So I just double check that because I have in the past laid down an entire month's worth of boxes spaced incorrectly and had to peel them all up again. So I'm doing 3 grids up, 2 grids to from the center. And I'm just going to lay my first box and then space them out from there, because they are spaced to work well with 1 grid space in between them. And like I said, this is the large size of the monthly layout sticker kit with these individual calendar boxes. So you could put them as close together or as far apart as you'd like. But I've also just now realized that I don't even know what day the month starts or ends on. So these could be incorrectly placed stickers. So I don't remember if I start this calendar on a Sunday or a Monday. I usually like my calendars to be Monday starts, but some of my calendars end up Sunday starts. Is this a Monday or a Sunday start? I think I'm going to have to Google a Monday start July calendar. So let me do that real quick. Okay, so I Googled a Monday, July start calendar and then started laying the boxes and thought I had already hit the record button and didn't realize until I laid all of these down that it was not recording. So I figured out that only one of those stickers needed to be pulled up, which wasn't too bad. It came up quite easily. So I am laying them down in the correct spacing now for the month. I'm just very surprised that I completely forgot to do that before I started laying the stickers. And honestly, I am glad I thought about it before I laid them all down, because I would have been really annoyed if I had to peel all of them up. But like I said, I'm doing a Monday start for my bigger calendar spread. I like to see my weekend days grouped together at the end of the week, just because most of the time if we have weekend plans that span the whole weekend, I want that to be closer together rather than on each end of the week, if that makes sense. But since these boxes are undated, you can make your calendar start on whatever day you'd like, which I think is really cool for like a monthly spread setup. It being the individual boxes and completely undated just make it to where you can do any kind of layout you want. You could even make this a horizontal layout, or a vertical. No, it'd be horizontal. Like if you flipped your notebook sideways. Anyway, I've seen quite a few different ways to set up a calendar spread, so the individual boxes really help with that. But anyway, after laying most of these stickers down, I realize I am getting the vibe of the stickers underneath them that I wanted. Like, I knew most of the stickers were going to be covered up by the boxes, but I think just enough is peeking through that you can tell what they are. And I think it really ties the theme together, and I'm kind of obsessed with it. So I am really happy at the moment. I'm also really happy that I found that washi. Just that one little strip at the bottom, I feel like is absolute perfection in this spread. But that could just be me. So here is what the month looks like laid out, and I'm happy to say I executed my vision perfectly and I am in love with it. So I think all I have left to add on this is just my monthly header sticker, which I had print and cut when I did all these other stickers. And then I think it'll be done. And I love it. I am so in love with it. It is so bright. I hope that comes across on camera. I love the washi. I actually think I'm going to add a little up there. Not, the space just feels a little empty. So we'll just add a little strip of it up there. And then I think this monthly spread might top my coffee and craft paper for my favorite monthly setup. I don't know. I'm really in love with this so far. So I hope when I actually go to do my weeklies that I love those too and it doesn't ruin it for me, because I really am loving this right now. Let me know what you think. This came out exactly how I envisioned it. I am so happy. I actually think there is only one tiny spot that I think could use a little something down there by that ripped paper sticker. So I think I'm going to try to peel that up and add a little bit underneath it, just so that I don't have that larger white space down in the corner, because it's kind of looking empty to me. But hopefully this peels up without destroying the sticker or the paper, because then I will have to print and cut a whole other sheet of stickers. Okay, so that is working nicely. And I think just this little piece of the sticker peeking up above this ripped paper washi type of thing will look perfect. And I believe it does. So there we go. This is the final monthly spread and I'm obsessed. So now I just need to date these boxes and then we can move on to the weekly spreads. All right, I think the next thing that I want to tackle is this edge behind the dividers. I kind of forgot to come up with a plan for that. I'm not sure. I've used washi, like thicker washi in the past, or yeah, there's more washi, but I don't want to do that yellow washi. I don't think the tabs will pop off of that enough. So we're going to come back to that. So moving on to my first weekly spread, I am going to do an outline for the weekly on one side around the whole page. And I'm going to do this like scattered dotted line thing that I had to practice, because you know I have to practice everything, even if it's just a straight line. I've seen this type of line in so many people's spreads. I think it's very popular at the moment, but I have yet to try it. But I just feel like it'll work well with the lemons. I just normally don't really do well with randomness. I'm a little bit too calculated to be random. So I'm hoping that I can give it that random look, even though I am planning every little dot and dash in my mind before I do it. But I think it looks pretty cool. I feel like I did that well. So I'm just going to do that around the entire page. The layout for this first weekly is kind of a recreation of a layout I did in my May theme. It's just spaced a tiny bit different, but basically the same layout. And I decided to flip back to some of those layouts and recreate them because I did use them and had the right amount of space that I needed for each day and each list that I keep track of. So I know that layout works, and it's not like I'm trying something new that I'm going to end up hating, because like I said, I want these weeks to turn out just as great as the month did, so that I love the whole spread. I really want to love this because I'm really excited about it. So that is how that little outline turned out. I think I nailed that random little dotted line. I really like the look of it. And I just need to space my grid for the 7 days of the week. So this is the spread that I'm basing it off of. But obviously the spacing's not going to be the same because that had a whole extra piece of paper on it. So I'm trying to see if I have a reference for another week that I can just copy the spacing on. So it looks like it'll be this one. And I did 5 grid spaces for each day of the week, and then I had that like border on top. I don't know if I need that border on top, but it seems like the 5 grid spaces for each day of the week will just be easiest. So I think I'm just going to stick with that. And I might have that border at the top, but I'll figure out what to do with it afterwards. So I wasn't sure at first if I was going to like this whole dotted line thing, but since I actually love it, I think I'm going to carry it through each spread now. So any line that I have to draw, wow, I did not say that word correctly. Any line that I have to draw in any of the rest of the weekly spreads, I'm going to keep this dotted line situation. I think it really matches with the vibe of the lemons, and I think all of the weeks having that will make it really cohesive. And I'm wondering if this is something that I'm going to carry through for the rest of the year, because I just really like the look of it, and I didn't think I was going to like it this much. I love learning new things that I love and that I don't love. So now we have established I do not love horizontal tabs. I like verticals, and now I like this dotted line thing. So here's my week. I have the 7 spaces I need, and I'm going to do the days of the week vertical like how I did on that last spread, and I'll figure out what I'm going to do in that top bar in a minute, but that's another minute's problem. And now that I go to make this line to make the spaces for the day of the week headers, I'm realizing I don't know if I even have day of the week headers cut out. So I might have to do that before I can completely finish this spread. Let me check my sticker book real fast. Maybe I'll surprise myself and I'll have some in here. I want the specific font. I think I want to use my Dainty font, and that's probably one that I don't have any of because I really don't use it that often. So I'm going to have to print and cut myself some stickers, which I would have had to anyway. So that's obnoxious because I like to have everything done at once. But I will move on and come back to the spreads when all of the stickers are print and cut. But what I want to do for this other side is the same thing I did in this spread, just kind of like the 4 quadrants, because I just think that gives me exactly enough space for what I need. So I just need to find the middle, because I can't use the middle hash mark since I cut off so much of the page. So I just need to find the middle of it and divide this sheet into 4 little quadrants, and I'm going to do the dotted line again, and this weekly spread will be just about done. And as I'm doing this, I realized that since in my mind I committed to using my Dainty font, I'm going to have to print and cut myself some Dainty font stickers for all of my to-do list headers, like type A for Alexa, dinner's too clean. So I might as well just do all of that at once so that I have every sticker I need to finish these weeklies, and I stop annoying myself, because clearly I stick with the whimsical font and I don't print and cut anything in the Dainty font. So yeah, let's just get that done. But until I do that, this spread is pretty much done. Although I'm thinking now that I want to add a drop shadow to this box outline. I think I do. I am really partial to the drop shadows. And if you've watched my videos, we've had a love-hate relationship with these drop shadows over the course of me starting my bullet journal journey. But I feel like I've gotten pretty decent at them, and I do feel like it makes a difference. It might not be something you notice at first glance, but I feel like it makes a difference to the warmth of a spread. I don't know. That could just be in my imagination. I just love a drop shadow, okay? And I think this one looks cute in this spread. But I am always nervous when I go to do these, because I have completely messed them up before, and it just ends up looking like a gray splotch on the spread. So this is always a risk that I'm taking with this little line that I like to add for my own amusement. I don't know, maybe one day I'll give up the drop shadow, but today is not that day. Anyway, moving on. Like I said, I'm going to do the weekly header stickers along the side in these boxes here. Then my headers for the 4 quadrants. I'll probably show you that once I do print and cut those. And then I'll use my stencils for those lists in the quadrants, and then this spread will be done. All right, we're making progress. I have that done now. I like the way the tabs look off of it. I actually think it looks great. Week 1 is done pretty much, except for the stickers, but now I'm thinking, does it need some deco? Or I can bring that washi in and put that in the top if it'll fit. And it is actually the perfect height. So, okay, we're just going to leave the washi there. And that is what's going to fill in that top box because I really had no other plan for that. And I think I kind of actually love it. And it fits perfectly. So, there we go. Week 1 is done, and that was pretty painless. So, let's move on to week 2 spread. So for week 2, this is also going to come from some inspiration that I got on Pinterest. I saw this spread where one side of it was that like wire memory board, and then the other side was just a weekly layout, although I forget now what that was. But I definitely want to do the wire memory board on that side. So that's my plan for this one. I'm going to have to bring in some of my stencils because I still don't like to freehand that type of stuff. So I don't know which ones I'm actually going to use. This is like a Polaroid stencil, and I'm pulling out the Polaroid one because the inspiration had a Polaroid in it and I liked the way it looked. So I definitely have to do this in pencil first because it's just not something I'm confident enough to do with pen the first try. And also, whenever I'm doing one of these like wire memory board spreads, I don't want you to be able to see the lines of the memory board through the pieces that are hanging on it. So that means the pieces that are hanging on it have to be drawn in first, and then you make the lines for like the memory board behind that and in between all of that. So you kind of have to get the layout down of all the pieces that are supposed to be on the board before you do all that. Does that make sense? I did my first January spread in this bullet journal was the whole wire memory board theme throughout the whole month. So I am quite well practiced at this now. I also always default to these Oopsie-Daisy stencils for any of these types of spreads. They just work so well for me and I'm so comfortable with them. I highly recommend the Oopsie-Daisy stencils. I have a binder full of them and I use them all the time. So that part of this spread is done, but then I also realized I had a sticker sheet cut of the days of the week in the dainty font. So I'm going to flip back to my week 1 spread and at least get those laid down because I kind of like to leave a spread unfinished. So I'm going to have Monday at the top of the page. So Sunday will be all the way at the bottom, and I know I'm going to have to trim probably Wednesday. I think that might be the only one that doesn't fit because Saturday is fitting just perfectly. So hopefully Wednesday is the only one that I need to trim. And I love this dainty font for this theme. I think it really matches the vibe. So I'm very excited about how cohesive everything is turning out. I'm really excited. And then I just realized I'm going to have to trim Monday because I don't want it over this lemon. I don't like the look of that. So I'm just going to cut off the rest of the word here. And I think that'll be fine. I'll get the point. Yeah. That looks fine. I'm not mad at that. So I just need to trim Wednesday down, and then the weekly side of this spread is complete. And then I did actually print and cut the headers that I'm going to need for the whole month. So I'll be able to lay those down now too. And I've decided that I want to do just like a gray highlight underneath each of the headers, just for a little depth. So these are my headers. I don't want the lines to be super long. So this one will be dinners. It'll be a little shorter than the other ones. I really don't know how this is going to look. Hopefully it doesn't look muddy underneath the stickers because these are printed on clear sticker paper. But, you know, you won't know until you try. So, like I said, I'm going to do dinners at the top here. I think that looks okay underneath there. I think that's better than leaving it plain. And then I'll do this week and then type A down in this right corner with the longer line that I probably should have made a little bit longer, but it's too late now. And then clean in this last box. So all I have to do for this spread is my little stencil marks for each of these sections, and then this one is officially complete. And now that I look at it, I feel like I can put something in this bottom box. So I have some extra stickers. I'm just going to use this truck. And now this one is officially done. Okay, so it's time to actually come back to the week 2 memory board spread. And like I said, I did the memory board theme for my entire January setup. So that's how I did that little binder clip. This is what I was looking for because I'm like, this binder clip looks mighty plain. And that part is not on the stencil. I just kind of like freehanded it. So I needed to reference it because it's been 6 months since I drew one of those. So I just need to finish up this little binder clip, and then I have to add the wires in the background. And I feel like I want to add color in some way, but I don't 100% know how I'm going to do that yet. So that's on the to-do list. And I still have to lay down the other side of this weekly spread. So yeah, I just need to get moving on this because these memory board spreads are very time consuming. So I'm sticking with a 2x2 grid line. It's the same spacing that I used in my January setup, and I think it turned out well. I feel like if I did a 1x1, it would be way too busy, way too many lines, and almost kind of like make me dizzy looking at it. And I think a 3x3 is too big. So we're going with a 2x2. And luckily, since I cut this page in half, kind of, and trimmed it down, and then I added these pieces of paper technically on top of it, I don't have too many lines to draw. So I'm not regretting this decision at the moment. But I will tell you, when I had an entire monthly theme of this to do, there was a little bit of regret as we got into like week 2 and 3 of the month that I had to stick with this theme because it is just very time consuming. Anyway, now it's time to figure out what I want to do for the weekly side. I can't find the screenshot where I saw this, so I'm just going to kind of have to wing it. And I'm thinking maybe of using this kind of layout with the 7 boxes on this side, but I'm actually not sure if that's going to fit. So I might have to regroup or do a bit of measuring here. Okay, I basically decided that instead of doing those floating boxes, I'm going to kind of just make a grid and try to even out the spacing so that I can get 6 boxes, and I'll just divide the 6th box into 2 since I don't need a full box for each of the weekend days. So I just put one of those dotted lines down the middle and then counted boxes for what I swear is the millionth time since I've been bullet journaling. You'd think I'd know the box measurements of these pages by now by heart, and did that in 3 even spaces. So now I have my weekly on one side and my memory board on the other, and it was semi-painless. And I'm actually just happy at the moment since I have all of these stickers cut now. I won't have to wait to finish any of these spreads. So I'm just going to add all of my day of the week header stickers to this. And then we got to go back to that memory board side and figure out how we're going to add some color to that to spruce it up. Luckily, I just got these in from Amazon. I got some of the primary colored highlighters or the brush markers because if you've seen any of my other setup videos, I was struggling with the current set of highlighters that I had. I didn't have any true colors, specifically a true red, but we don't need red in this. We need a yellow and a blue, and this yellow and blue work perfectly with these. So I'm just going to alternate coloring these little pieces of washi, blue and yellow, just for a little bit of color, and I think that'll help them really pop. And I couldn't miss the opportunity for a quick little drop shadow. So now all this weekly needs to be complete is for me to fill in the list side. And this one's going to be a little different than my typical because I know we're traveling this week. So one of these little papers is going to be a packing list. And I'm kind of giving up my dinners list for everything to fit correctly, but it'll be fine. I have enough space in those weekly boxes to make up for my lack of a dinner section and a clean section. I can just add it there because my days really aren't that busy, and I'm going to use this larger little piece of paper as my quick packing list for anything that I think of to pack throughout the week. So I think that worked out well. And then I just have to think of something to do in that little Polaroid. So I'm going to grab some of my extra stickers and just kind of fill that in. And I think this week is about done. And I actually really like how it turned out. I'm really glad I found this inspiration on Pinterest because it's not a layout I normally would have done, but I kind of love it. Okay, so we have one more week done. Time to move on to week 3, but weeks 1 and 2 are looking fabulous. I'm not very sure what I'm going to do for week 3. I didn't really have a plan for this one. So let me brainstorm for a bit and I'll come back. Okay, I'm back and I'm going to be so for real with you. I came up with a layout. Well, it's not a new layout. It's a reference from another month, but then I filmed it for my Instagram channel. So you don't get to see it live in person here, but you get to see the finished product. So this is what week 1, week 2, and if I can get it, week 3 looks like so far. I actually love how week 3 turned out. Now I need to do week 4, and while I was off camera, I did quickly stencil out the way I'm going to do these boxes. I'm going to split the 7th day into 2 and then just have 2 lists, and we'll see how that goes. And I'm going to stick with the dotted line situation, so this one should be fairly quick. Okay, I figured I would spare you just watching me draw dotted lines for 20 minutes. So this is what the layout looks like now. And I'm just going to add all of my stickers. So same way in that other layout that I did where I don't have a to clean box or a dinner box, these day of the week spaces are plenty large enough for me to add all my plans and any cleaning I have to do on each day and my dinners at the bottom. So in certain spreads, I am able to sacrifice those exact list spaces because it can just be added to the weekly area or the daily area. But as I finish this week up, I do have something to confess. I did already pre-stencil out my last week. I had the idea for it. This one was actually another inspired by Pinterest layout with these longer boxes and then cut into kind of thirds, but not really thirds, with space across the top for the headers, space across the bottom for dinners, and then that chunk in the bottom middle-ish area for my work stuff. So I'm going to see how I like this layout. I have never tried a layout like this before, but I think I'm going to visualize it as an hourly layout in my head, even though it's not going to be labeled with hours. I'm going to basically put, like morning plans towards the top, nighttime plans towards the bottom, and kind of plan my day that way. So I'm just adding a little color here with the highlighters so that it's not too plain with just headers everywhere. And then this spread will be complete too. So like I mentioned earlier, I highly recommend just doing a little bit of research before you attempt a spread or a setup or a theme, because I get so much inspiration from Pinterest. I truly feel like I would be doing the same weekly layouts over and over again if I didn't visually see different ways to lay out a spread. Like, clearly I know I need 7 daily boxes and a couple of list areas, and I know what I like, but I don't know how to come up with new themes. So I go to Pinterest every time I'm doing a monthly setup, and there's quite a few spreads that I have found to love just from looking at that inspiration. But now this weekly is complete, and that means this entire monthly setup is complete. And when I tell you I am over the moon, I am over the moon. If you saw June's setup, hopefully you can tell the difference in how much I love this one versus that one. I wasn't really that excited about that one, but I absolutely love this one. And of course, flipping through it, if I find an area that needs a little drop shadow, we're just going to add a little bit more just for some razzle dazzle. But when I tell you, I don't know which I love more. I don't know if May or July is going to continue to be my favorite at the end of the year, but this one is a real, I think at this point they're a tie. I think I'll have to see once the month is over how much I enjoyed using these weekly spreads, especially because there's a couple in here that I've never used before. So we'll see how I like those. But just decoration wise and setup wise, I think it's an even tie. I'm so obsessed with this. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. I hope you love it. Sorry for the rambles, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.